They said her shadow frightened the chickens. They said even the pigs turned away when she approached. They said the gods had made a mistake the day she was born. They said she brought death with her first cry. But listen carefully. For the girl they called cursed would one day walk into death's forest and return carrying light. In a village of clay huts and red earth, where the elders' words were law, there lived a girl named Adana. No one called her that. They called her crooked, twisted, a demon child. Adana was bent forward, her left arm thin and weak, her right leg dragging, leaving uneven marks in the dust. But her eyes, her eyes were violet, deep, impossible violet. Her mother died giving her life. The midwives whispered it was because the gods rejected her. Her father, Obi, held her close. "You are not broken, my dear," he said. "The world is." For 12 long years, it was just the two of them. Love protected her from cruelty until the cruel hand of time came. One day, her father collapsed in the yam fields. 3 days later, he was gone. At his burial, her Aunt Fola, dressed in black, whispered, "You'll always have a home with us, child." Adana believed her. That was her first mistake. Kindness lasted a week. Then Fola's voice turned cold. Adana became a slave in her own father's home. Every day before the sun rose, fetch water, grind yams, sweep, cook, tend the pigs, and the laughter of her cousin Adira followed her everywhere. Adira was everything Adana was not: tall, straight, beautiful. The village noticed her. No one noticed Adana. Years passed, and still Adana's body bent, her arm thin, her leg dragging. Her spirit, somehow, unbroken. Then one morning, the sound of royal drums echoed through the village. Traders abandoned their stalls. Women stopped pounding yam. Children ran screaming toward the marketplace. The royal messenger, dressed in white robes with the king's crest, boomed. "Hear me, people of this land. Prince Obasi, the king's only son, suffers from the shadow sickness. No cure works, but there is one hope. The moonflower blooms once every 20 years in the valley of Death's forest. Any maiden who retrieves it and saves the prince's life will become his bride, the future queen." The village erupted. Adira spun around in excitement. "Mother, I will be queen. The prince will choose me." Adana listened quietly. Her heart beat fast. Not for crowns, but because someone was suffering. She stepped forward. "May I go with the others? May I try?" Fola laughed. "You? Crawl along and fetch yams, you weak girl. The forest will eat you alive. Stay here." Adana bowed her head, but she did not stop thinking. Over the next 3 days, maidens tried the quest. One by one, they returned screaming, "The forest is alive! Shadows grabbed my ankles! I cannot stay!" By the 4th day, all had failed. The prince had only 3 days left to live, and Adana could not ignore the call of need. At night, she slipped out. No food, no water, just the moonlight and her father's old cloak. The forest loomed, black and twisted. No birds sang, no insects chirped. Even the wind seemed afraid. Whispers rose from the shadows. Crooked girl, turn back. You do not belong here. Adana's violet eyes reflected the silver moonlight. I know what it is to need help and receive none, she whispered, and I will not turn back. The path opened. Branches shifted. Shadows pulled at her leg. Every step was agony, but she walked on. Hours passed until she reached a clearing. A woman, glowing silver, stood before her. Crooked girl, why do you seek the flower? To save the prince. You do not know him. He will never choose you. I do this because it is right, Adana said. The spirit woman smiled. Answer my 3 riddles and the flower is yours. Adana listened. She remembered her father teaching her riddles by firelight long ago. Riddle 1. What is more powerful than the gods, more evil than the demons? The poor have it, the rich need it. If you eat it, you will die. Adana's eyes glowed violet. Nothing. Riddle 2. I have no wings, but I fly. I have no eyes, but I cry. Wherever I go, darkness follows me. Adana looked at the moon through twisted branches. A cloud. Riddle 3. I am always hungry and must be fed. The finger I touch turns red. She remembered tending the cooking fire every morning. Fire. The spirit woman laughed. You are the first in 20 years to answer all 3. She offered Adana a mirror. A choice. Beauty, straight back, strong arms, perfect legs. All I ask is your kindness, whispered the spirit. Adana shook her head. I would rather remain crooked and kind than straight and cold. The path to the moonflower opened. Her courage had won. The forest tested her once more. A river glowed before her, silver blue under moonlight. Mist rose gently from its surface. Tall trees leaned like guardians. The river demanded sacrifice. Her father's cloak, the last thing of home, the last thing that smelled of love. She released it into the river. It floated, dissolved into light. Her face trembled, violet eyes full of pain. But her spirit did not tremble. The river parted. Stepping stones revealed themselves. She crossed, step by step. The forest watched. Even shadows bowed. On the other side, the clearing opened. A single moonflower glowed softly in silver light. Adana knelt. She reached forward. Her thin arm shook. Her bent back ached. Her dragging leg throbbed. She touched the flower. Light rose around her, not to change her body, not to make her straight. It lifted the shame. It dissolved fear. It made her strong. It made her whole. She was not perfect. She was more than perfect. The forest bowed to her courage. The moonflower rested gently in her hands. And for the first time, Adana walked home, not small, not cursed, but chosen. At dawn, the village slept. She returned with the moonflower, but her Aunt Fola and Adira stole the credit while she rested. At the palace, the king questioned the impostors. A hunter stepped forward. He had followed Adana's journey. The truth was revealed. Adana had braved the forest, answered the riddles, sacrificed her cloak, refused false paradise. The king and Prince Obasi watched her. Will you give the flower to my son? The princess asked softly. The prince looked at her violet eyes. You walked into death when others fled. You refused paradise to keep your heart. You risked everything for me. You are the woman I choose. The royal healer prepared the flower. They shared it. Adana remained physically the same. Her bent back, thin arm, dragging leg. But her spirit soared. Her courage shone brighter than any beauty.
Days passed. The prince was healed. The palace no longer echoed with fear. But something else had changed. By evening, the village and the royal court gathered in the open courtyard. No drums were beaten. No songs were sung. The air felt heavy and expectant. Adana walked slowly into the square. Her back was still bent. Her thin arm still rested close to her side. Her legs still dragged gently against the red earth. Nothing about her body had changed, but everything about the way she carried herself had. She no longer lowered her eyes. She no longer shrank when people looked at her. She stood steady. The villagers who once whispered now stood in silence. And Fakeke stood among them, her proud face tight, her eyes flickering with shame. Adira stood beside her, quiet, no longer glowing with vanity. Prince Obasi stepped forward, strong, alive, humbled. "I do not honor you because you saved my life," he said gently to Adana. "I honor you because you remained true to yourself when others tried to steal your worth." Then his gaze shifted slowly toward Fakeke. "You claimed courage that was not yours," he said firmly. "You raised your daughter to believe beauty was power, and you tried to bury truth beneath pride." Adira lowered her head, tears glimmering in her eyes. "For your deception before the throne," the prince continued, "you will no longer live in the royal favor of this kingdom. At sunrise, you will leave this village. You will live where titles and appearances mean nothing, and you will learn humility." Fakeke's shoulders sank. Adira's eyes filled with tears. But then Adana stepped forward. Her voice was calm but strong. "Do not live in fear," she said. "Learn from your mistakes. Let humility guide you. Let your heart change, not just your place." The prince nodded. Silence swept the courtyard. Heavy, final, peaceful. The king stepped forward next. "The gods made no mistake," he declared. "We did." The villagers bowed their heads, not to royalty, but to truth. Prince Obasi turned back to Adana. He extended his hand, not as a reward, not as pity, but as equality. Adana looked at him, then at the people who once called her cursed. Then she took his hand. The courtyard felt lighter, and from that day forward, children in the village were no longer taught to fear difference. They were taught to honor courage. And when the story was told, it was not told as the tale of a cursed girl. It was told as the story of the girl who walked into death's forest and returned carrying light. And if you ever feel unseen, if you ever feel different, remember this. Sometimes the world calls you broken when you are simply becoming. Now, I would love to hear from you. What lesson did you take from Adana's story? Was it courage? Self-worth? Forgiveness? Drop a comment and tell me what you think. And share this story with someone who may need the courage to walk into their own forest.